Sarah, you cover the team. You watch the team day in and day out. You called the game last night. So James Harden, that guy right there, did last night propel him to the top of the MVP conversation?
Jenna, first I want to say I loved Nick's take, but I'm confused if he's selling LeBron for Defensive Player of the Year or MVP. Because he's talking a lot about
like Giannis.
He's talking a lot about
like Giannis last year, both.
Here's the deal. There's still time left in the season, so I'm not going to say that James Harden is a front runner right now in the MVP race. I still look at it, all the things LeBron is doing with Joel Embiid. I know he's hurt, but what he has been able to put together. But I'm going to give the case for James Harden so Nick can hear it a little bit more, because for as much as he's talking about the Lakers defense being a mile ahead leading the league, well, the Nets are about a mile and a half when it comes to where they are on the offensive end, and it is all because of this individual you're seeing. That's his 11th triple-double that James Harden put together last night. It was a 40-point triple-double. This team has won 14 of the last 15 games, and he is orchestrating so much, not just by the numbers. His numbers have been jumping off the page at you, but the little things that he has been able to do to try and help this team coalesce, I think is just a small piece of why this Nets team has continued to find success without Kevin Durant. Mentioned the streak they're on. He has played in just one game. Similar to Nick talking about Anthony Davis not being there on the defensive end, Kevin Durant impacts both sides of the ball. He's been exceptional. He's showing a lot of brilliance, and he's showing an ability to give a team what it needs. The versatility factor is a major part of James Harden, his growth in what he's shown this year.
Okay, so I agree with almost everything Sarah Kustok just said. And unlike my dear colleague Brandon Marshall, I think all wins count. All wins matter, if you will. So I'm not going to discount the Nets for beating the Pacers the way Brandon discounted the Lakers for beating, who was it? Oh, it was the
Minnesota
Pacers.
Doesn't
it was
count.
the Timberwolves, and then it was the Pacers. It was
Can
both.
I jump in on this?
Go ahead,
Nick,
Sarah.
I don't want to interrupt your great take, but I've heard you. You know I watch the show every morning. Bright and early, I'm up with you. This stretch, you know who they beat also in this stretch? You're forgetting because they've been winning for so long. What about the Phoenix Suns? Pretty good. Yeah. What about the Clippers? Pretty good. What about Philly? Pretty good. What about your Los Angeles Lakers? Yeah,
I know.
The teams are bringing up. It goes so far back. It stretches so far back.
Yes.
You forget some of the stretch. You forget.
No, that's all accurate.
happening.
That's all accurate. And the Nets and the Lakers, who have almost the identical record, and if we were to go over the course of the entire season, I'm sure the strength of the Nets' schedule is probably harder because the East is so much better. Oh, wait, the East has 4 good teams. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to do that today. I'm not discounting wins. I'm not discounting Harden. And I'm glad Sarah's here because Sarah can be a first-hand witness for Wildes and Brandon, because Sarah's been talking basketball with me for years. And Sarah knows for years I defended James Harden when others attacked him. When others wanted to discount what a brilliant offensive player he was, I for years defended him as one of the greatest isolation scorers, if not the greatest, in the history of the league. All of that can be true, and it can also be true that unless we are going to Men in Black neuralize ourselves about what happened in Houston, that James Harden is starting in such a massive deficit for an award called Most Valuable Player that it's a hole you can't dig yourself out of. And so that it's not about last night he was almost perfect as an offensive basketball player. But Brandon, it's not fair to everyone involved to just pretend what happened in Houston didn't happen because it was this season. It wasn't the off season. It wasn't last year. It was this season.
Brandon, we've been hearing you. We've been hearing you.
Hey, Sarah, question for you. Do you think that when all the Nets' big 3 are healthy and they all have to share the ball a little bit more, that this will actually hurt James Harden's MVP chances? Like, obviously, he had a big game last night. Like, all right, I'm the main scorer. But once KD's back on the floor, once Kyrie's back on the floor, maybe those numbers come down. You don't start averaging a triple-double. Do you think that will adversely affect his MVP chances?
It's a great question, Kevin, and I think we often talk about this when there is multiple stars on a team. But to me, that is the beauty and the brilliance of how we've seen James Harden play, how he's able to impact the game more than just what he does with the numbers. And a lot of it comes from that facilitation, comes from the rebounds, and comes from the way that he understands how to get the ball where it needs to go to on the floor. I do want to address, though, and Nick, I get it, your point about the way things ended in Houston and rather unseemly of how that breakup occurred, the timing of the season. But is that timing on James Harden? He still came back and played 8 games, of which he was averaging close to 25 points per game, 10.5 assists, 5 rebounds. He had made it clear that that was a place where he felt like he had given everything he could throughout the course. And again, you were one of his biggest defenders throughout the course of his runs in Houston when they went toe-to-toe in many cases with that Golden State Warriors team that no one thought that they could touch. He had made it clear that he was ready to be somewhere else. And we've seen players at other occasions try and get to a different destination, Anthony Davis for one of those. And I think because of the time of the season, that's where it is at the forefront of our mind. The energy may not have been there, the attention to what he was doing on the floor, and obviously things off the court. But the numbers, he is still putting up the type of numbers that in many cases you would expect out of a star.
Except here's the problem with that. So 2 things. One is, the problem with that is we all watched those games, and we all know that James Harden, for the final half dozen games in particular in Houston, was mailing it in. And that, so it's not that you necessarily hold the timing against him, but you absolutely hold the effort against him. And when it comes to MVP, the whole, wait, where was he for his teammates before the season started? Oh, that's right. He was at a strip club with Lil Baby giving him 100 racks, and his team's got to deal with that. And Boogie's upset, and John Wall's upset. That all matters for the MVP conversation, which is why, to Brandon's point, it has always mattered to be a winning team. And Brandon is assigning the Lakers the 5 seed. Brandon, I will say this right now on the air, mark the tape. If the Lakers are the 5 seed in the West, I won't be arguing for LeBron to be MVP. But they're not going to be the 5 seed. They're more likely to be the 1 seed because of fraudulent Utah than they are the 5 seed. And the last point is to answer Wild's question. Wild, you asked a very nuanced... Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Brandon. No, go ahead. Then I'll answer Wild's thing. Go ahead, Brandon.
I tried to debunk this because I knew you was going to go here. I said it soon as we came back from All-Star break. Do not fall victim to what the Lakers are going to do in March. Who they're playing, the Golden State Warriors, the Timberwolves, and Charlotte, Atlanta. That's right. That's exactly.
That's fine. And I'm saying I don't think they'll be the 5 seed at the end of the year. Yeah, I know. The Lakers have a lot of Eastern Conference teams on the schedule, which is a lot easier. But to Wild's question was this. Is it going to be hard for James Harden to win the MVP when Kevin Durant comes back? And will it be hard for a guy who's not the best player on his own team to be called the best player in basketball? Yes, Wilds, it will be hard when he is clearly the second best guy on his own basketball team to win the award for the best player in the entire league. It will be hard.
Award for him.
It will be hard, Jenna. I'm just a little unprecedented.
Listen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.